this is fantastic. In fact, where can I apply for this job? Does LinkedIn have it? Where is it? Where can I apply? Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Leilani of Barbados. Well, we have a couple interesting things to talk about. One of them is quite controversial, but please stick with me to the end to see how I address that. I will be very gentle about it and do it in the best way I know how, by telling you the facts. Anyway, let's first start out with chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Meghan and Harry are getting roasted this Christmas. Kitson is a clothing brand, and they have a store in LA where they put up these placards every Christmas of all the celebrities that they feel are disingenuous and hypocrites. They are activists for one cause, but also live their lifestyle in a completely contrary way. And this year they've decided to highlight the Harkles. People of the Year by Kitson, Meghan and Harry. And they're talking about the fact that they claim to be environmentalists and yet travel on private jets, including to the Caribbean, which is a video I did on them. You can look at it over here. That's one roasting they'll get this Christmas. Another one is by David Letterman and Stephen Colbert. So Stephen Colbert interviewed David Letterman and just basically went over the interview that he had with Meghan Markle, which is kind of in the vault right now. David Letterman does not know if he's going to be able to release it because of all the possible lawsuits and legal letters and so on that he may receive from Meghan Markle, because it wasn't received very well and Meghan did not do a good job. I mean, maybe she thought she did a good job, but she tripped herself up, and basically it went like this. Let's listen.
Letterman revealed that he had interviewed Markle for his Netflix show, but the episode was never aired because of the legal issues and the backlash from the public. He said that he had found Markle to be charming, intelligent, and articulate, but also dishonest, manipulative, and narcissistic. He said that he had confronted Markle about some of the inconsistencies and contradictions in her claims, such as her relationship with her father, her wedding, her mental health, and her royal duties. He said that Markle had either dodged his questions, changed the subject, or lied outright. Letterman then proceeded to show some clips from the unaired interview, which he had secretly recorded and kept as evidence.
Good job on his part for keeping those clips, because you know she's going to say it didn't go that way and it didn't go this way. The next big thing that has happened this week is that Omidscobie's new book, Endgame, has released all these leaks, or some leaks have come out about it, and they're hilarious. Okay? Today, King Charles was branded a pampered royal by Scobie in an extract leaked to The Sun. He alleges His Majesty has his shoelaces ironed for him and insists on traveling with luxurious, perfectly steamed 1,000 thread count bed linen. In another snide attack, Scobie says Charles likes to have someone squeeze 1 inch of toothpaste onto his toothbrush for him as part of his bedtime routine. An extract from the 42-year-old's new book, Endgame. Whoa, he's 42? I'm not saying he didn't have help, but he looks very good for 42. Gotta give him that. The Sun reads, when laces get even the smallest bit threadbare, a staff member must quickly switch them out with a fresh ironed pair. I think this is fantastic. In fact, where can I apply for this job? Does LinkedIn have it? Where is it? Where can I apply?
Just asking for a friend.
King Charles is creating jobs over here. Imagine such a great job. All you have to do is iron some shoelaces and steam some stuff and go home and forget completely about your job. You don't have to think in the middle of the night, oh, I have editing to do. Oh, wait, you know what I should do? I should add in this bit, or I should add in that bit. You leave your job there with the shoelaces in the palace. These people are not doing this for free, huh? They're getting paid. They have a choice as to whether to have this job or not. And I don't know if any of you have worked or been around very wealthy people. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you have. So have I. And these requests are nothing compared to what some wealthy people request, insist, and demand from you. We're talking about shoelaces. What are we doing here? This is great. Well done, King Charles, for creating jobs. That's what I have to say about that. Of course, it looks very personal and like if somebody might have helped Omidscobie pen this book. In fact, this time, Omid is not using Caroline Durand. She pieced out of this conversation since the last book that she did with him. So he's on his own here. And maybe as a result of that, Omid feels he can lean even more into the racist narrative.
On in the royal household, and this week has been no different. On the menu, Meghan Markle. Now, she has claimed that there are not one, but two royal racists who discussed Archie's skin colour. That's according to a new book. Well, you think she could have said so at the time.
So this is the big deal. And this is where it gets very serious for me. Whether it's one person or two people, girl, Meghan, you got to say what was said. Give us that credit as intelligent people that we can decipher and say to you, maybe you're overreacting, maybe you're not. Whatever the case is, you have to tell us what was said. I've been saying this from the get-go. Look, it's obviously calculated that they left this cliffhanger so that people like Omid can go back and forth about it because it is open-ended. So much so that Harry could, of course, come back and say, well, no, nobody said anything about racist. Nope, didn't do it. Nah, didn't do it. It still has an impact until they say what was really said. It's so dangerous. It's dangerous on two fronts. One, you have people that will take it as, oh my goodness, they must have said a slur. You know, this is so triggering. They might have said a word that rhymes with the word trigger. I mean, what did they say? And you have that end of the spectrum. Then you have the other end of the spectrum where people are going to dismiss and deny that racism actually exists in this world, which is equally as dangerous. Anybody who's on a platform talking about this thing, don't do it. That's my advice to you. Especially if you are not a person of color, my best advice is to not speak out and broadcast sentiments like, it's the same as asking if they have curly hair or straight hair. I got comments, I got questions, I got direct messages saying, Leilani, can you please explain this to people so that it doesn't perpetuate this race war, really? Because by saying that racism doesn't exist, there's no way it could have existed, there's no comment in the world that could have ever been made ever that was racist. That's equally as irresponsible as Meghan and Harry essentially lying about a fictitious conversation about what color the baby's skin would be. Just let's not give it any oxygen whatsoever. Having said that, the reason why I was getting these messages was because some people watched the video and they wanted me to watch it and give my opinion on it. But before I do that, I actually dug up this old interview which I had done a review on, and I found it really interesting to look at it again because this is about 2 years ago that he did this interview about his first book. This is how it's so dangerous.
I myself have experienced some prejudice from one or two royal aides in the past. So you can kind of know what Meghan was entering. And so it didn't surprise me. But I think for it to mention a family member, that was kind of the moment that even myself, my jaw was on the floor.
So notice he uses the word prejudice. Well, she was talking about racism. She was talking about a black and white issue. So let's find out what his race is. So we Google him and we see that he's half Iranian and half British. That's not the same as black and white. Because I'm telling you straight, Meghan said that on Oprah because Doria's black and they wanted to draw the attention of black people in the middle of the Black Lives Matter conundrum that was going on to say they're afraid the child's gonna look like, they don't want the child to look like Doria. They're afraid of it. They don't want black people in their family. That's all it was to say. And they were very careful how they said it so that it resonated with people who have been oppressed and who have struggled, and that's what happened, and they did that on purpose. So him now talking about prejudice, we're looking at him saying, what are you talking about? Luckily, the interviewer comes back and says, hold on a minute. I'm feeling like there might be a racist element. Let's talk about that.
You touched on before race and prejudice. You said someone was racist to you.
Racist, you see? He said prejudice and she heard racist. That's what I'm telling you happens. That's what's happening.
I wouldn't say racist, but I just experienced prejudice. You know, I'm mixed race. There aren't many mixed race.
But then he says, but I'm mixed race. So is it prejudice or race? Well, we're going to see what it is.
Royal correspondence out there. But to be...
But by who?
I would not name that person.
A family member or aide?
Someone very senior within the palace who found it really peculiar that I spoke as well as I do. And that was pretty much how they said it to me. And, you know, I'm...
Okay, so it has to do with his way of speaking. Well, of course, he sounds very posh. It's a bit overdone, a little bit played up, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But they're really classist, if anything. If they're asking him about how posh he sounds and how well-spoken he is, but he's ever so ever, then they're being classist, not racist.
Used to kind of where are you from, where are you really from, and all that kind of stuff. But...
Aha! Now this went in my mind, ding, 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 because this interview, like I said, was about 2 years ago.
From where you really from?
So go forward another year and a half, and we get to Ngozi Fani, who says the exact same thing, funny enough.
This is feeling a bit uncomfortable, but okay, it's a question. I'm from here, I was born here. Yeah, but where are you really from? I'm really from here.
She says that Lady Hussey asked her, where are you really from? A conspiracy here, possibly, where Ngozi Fani, which I do believe she was scripted to say those things, those false accusations. It has never been proven. There was never a recording that came out, although there was suggestion there might be. There never was one. We never heard it. And I am really thinking that there is a PR campaign around this sentiment of racism in the royal family, and they got little plants like Ngozi Fani, allegedly for legal purposes, and even possibly Omidscobie, although he protests any idea that he could be friends with Harry and Meghan or any of the other royal family's members, but he does have very good sources, he says. And even when it comes to his book, he insists that everybody read his book because everything is in context and his sources and everything like that. I, for one, won't be reading it just because of him putting in this thing about the two races. I think that's a bridge too far for me. I am really tired of this being brought up over and over again without any evidence and without being able to speak about it. It's just looking like a big hoax and a very dangerous one. It's something I cannot subscribe to, and I will not be paying for that book to read about it. Now, here we go. This is the other side of what comes out of this behavior, is that people are so convinced that they are constantly lying, and there's nothing to convince us of otherwise. Here we have a YouTuber talking about it and showing examples. And I just want us to listen to this. I am not throwing any shade at anybody. I totally understand what is going on here, and I will explain it afterwards.
It is quite normal to have a conversation with regards to an expectant baby of what their genetics will be like. Will they have brown hair? Will they have blonde hair? Will they have blue eyes? Will they have brown eyes? Will they have green eyes? Will they have fair skin, dark skin? You're light skinned, I'm dark skinned. What is the baby going to like? Is it going to have curly hair? It is a normal conversation for couples and families to speculate of what.
Okay, pause on that speculate. Everything that she's listed there are phenotypes, not race, not black, and not white. Meghan Markle has outsmarted you all. If you think this is equivalent to somebody talking about eye color,
their child will look like. I have to read you this, that on the article that the Daily Mail have printed with regards to this story, the top comment from this article is from Not Very Anonymous from Derbyshire. They say, my husband has Spanish ancestry, has olive skin and tans easily, has dark curly hair. I'm very pale skinned with straight brown hair. We speculated on what skin tone and hair colour type our baby would have during both my pregnancies, as did friends and relatives. It's a perfectly normal conversation to have, and I completely agree.
Well, girl, I agree with you too, but I also think you did the wrong research. You are here talking about a Spanish person. The last time I thought about a Spanish person, I thought about a white person. This is not about how tan somebody is and how swarthy and olive and exotic they are. This is about race, black race. We are talking about what comes to mind to black people is now going to be slavery, oppression, violence, hatred, and BLM even. So you cannot diminish it by putting it up against an Italian or that's what we say in Barbados, we say Italian or a Spanish person or anything like that. I mean, we're talking about the midnight train to Georgia, honey. People get heated over the idea that they could have said something. Anybody could have said anything about the child coming out like black, like Doria. My community is a safe space for anybody to talk, which is different from broadcasters talking about these things, okay? But what I noticed with my community is that they would say things like, I had a Nigerian marry my daughter, and we were really excited and happy that the child might not have to go tanning in the sun all the time because they'd have naturally tan skin. Just stick to this. If there's not a black person that you're talking about entering into the family, don't put out this sentiment that it's the same as choosing between white phenotypes, because that's where people they kind of want to go back to Meghan's side when you talk like that, especially if you're not black or you don't have personal experience with race and racism. You know what I mean? Okay.
We had the same conversations with our family. It's a perfectly normal conversation to have. Only a psychopath would think otherwise. One of the comments says, literally happens in any family where there are two people that aren't the same skin tone, including my own. This was so overblown, it's laughable. And that's the thing, isn't it? It is laughable. It is just so ridiculous. The fact that she actually wrote a letter, and it's now common knowledge, thanks to omidscobie, that she wrote a letter, shows that she has no intention of dropping this at all.
We don't know what was said, but we also don't know what was said in the letter. So again, some people could look at this, and I'm telling you unpopular opinion, okay? Because you know how I feel about this whole thing, right? And that's all I want to say as your representative of the mixed race, black race, African diaspora, Caribbean, Commonwealth, and all of it. Let me be the one to say, let's be very gentle and very careful unless you all want to be cancelled. I'm warning you. Be very careful, because I'm getting the messages of how people who were once completely on the side are feeling a certain type of way about white people talking about race and calling it eye color. You get me? You know, I was even talking to one of my subscribers who was saying, is there a way for William and Harry to ever get back together? I think she was talking from a really mothering perspective. Like, if these were my sons, I would love for them to bond again. She's from Paraguay, you know who you are. And we were really going back and forth thinking, how can this work, you know? And then this book leak come out, and it's like, well, how is this ever going to happen? But I've thought of something, actually, to end this on a good note. I think Harry and William should come together and sue the pants off of omidscobie. How about that? Since omidscobie got no information from Harry and Harry hasn't sanctioned this, well, if that's the case, come together and sue his behind for defamation. That's what the Kardashians did. They decided to take the intimate tape that Kim Kardashian did and come together, the boyfriend who leaked it allegedly for legal purposes, and her family, and said, okay, we're going to own the rights to this and we'll make money off of it and you'll get it equally. So we'll come together and sue this outlet that supposedly leaked it, even if it was you, okay? And that's what they did, and that launched her career, and look at where she is now. Superstar. And it would also prevent a lot of other omids of this world from coming out and deciding to talk about all these secret things that he gets or he doesn't get or he makes up, or we don't even know how he gets it, but he actually tends to be right. So maybe it would stop that from happening. Just saying. So that's my solution, my Paraguayan friend. I think that they should come together and do a business deal. Nothing brings brothers together like business. Sue Omid. So that's my suggestion. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching me. I love you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, press the bell notifications, and definitely like this video if you liked it. And welcome to the family. Everyone chat, tell me what you think in the comments. Be free to tell me whatever you want to tell me. I love you so much. Bye.